Hey everyone, Margarita here. I'm in my garage here today and I'm about to do some more ear candles. I just woke up. I did a couple of ear candles last night after I traveled out and about. I went downtown to Detroit and I came back. What I noticed is that Ford's most recent gas bill has spread pretty far out. Usually when they spill it and then they slowly flush it and it moves on to the next city and the next city. And as the natural precipitation comes, it will slowly dissipate. They also flush it into the nearby rivers and lakes. And then sometimes they send crews to come out there and clean it up, or a percentage of it up, I should say. And sometimes they do not. But it's been about a month since it spilled. So I would expect at this point, it should be, pretty close to Detroit by now. Depends on the amount of flushing that's been done. However, I've been living with continuous symptoms. So I'm not, on my ride there and back, I'm not exactly sure, which city or what area it kind of cuts off at this point. Just because I have so many ongoing symptoms, it's kind of hard to tell. But, the further it spreads, the lower the particle level is going to be, even if it's got to go 50 to 100 miles out, which it did the first spill in 2021, or the first known spill that I'm aware of. Prior to that, from the time I bought this house in 2017 to that time, I don't believe there was any spills because I would have definitely been experiencing these same symptoms. And these were not the symptoms that I had. It was all 100% carbon monoxide related. And there was one chemical spill in Wixom, just like there was one in 2022 as well. Just around the time I was leaving and moving to Ohio, it happened again. And I do know that spill did make its way all the way over here to Flat Rock, made its way all the way down to Toledo, Ohio. And it did spread quite a ways away because it was a very large spill as well. And those symptoms were totally different than these ones. But I'm becoming an expert on these large chemical and gas spills that companies do. And most of the public is not aware that this is even a thing, or that large companies spill toxic chemicals and gases and they flush through the sewer systems. They run up and down all over. No one's even aware of that, unless they have some type of severe condition, which I have ran into due to where I treat at and how sick a lot of those patients are. I did run into somebody at one of those treatment centers during the Ford gas leak, and that person had lived, I want to say 30 or 40 minutes away from me, and they were experiencing symptoms as well for whatever condition that lady had. I talked to, it was a family member of hers who was treating at the same facility as me, and she told me the lady was having problems, probably not the same problems I'm having. I do remember exchanging information, but it wasn't the same issues as me, but she was very sick from it. So most of the population, I don't think, ever realizes this is happening. It happens all the time. And unfortunately, with the condition that I have, it's very extreme for me. At this point, my son's brain tissue is a lot more sealed than mine. He's been not re-injured in the manner in which I was all those additional times. I did keep him home for about 5.5 years. He basically just did not leave home except for to go to treatment and back. And that's how I got his brain tissue more sealed and kept him safe during it wasn't possible for the majority of that time. We couldn't go anywhere anyway. But that's how he's significantly further ahead than me. So he's not having the same issues as me currently. The first gas spill was a little different. His brain tissue was still open. There was problems during that time. But I'm trying to bring awareness to the general population on what is going on with all of that, because most people have no clue that this is even happening. And it's not a smell. I don't need somebody to tell me where particles are. It's not a particle level on your phone, on your weather map. Since my brain tissue's open, every breath of anything in the air goes right through and loads up into my brain. Depending on what it is, it causes different issues. So the Ford Motor Company liquid gasoline spills, those cause my brain bleeding to bleed and the blood to come out my ears and the inner ear itching extremely bad. So here we are again, doing more ear candles. And I just want to do a video while I'm doing an ear candle, because I don't even know if people know what ear candles are. You know, I'm sure people probably Google them and it says not to do them, or it says they're unsafe, or they probably asked their doctor and they said you're not supposed to do them. That is so wrong. The information is false. Google has false information. This is the answer. This is how it gets removed. This is how I get the blood that's dripping in my brain and out of my ears very slowly. This is how I get it out, and it works. Now, I do have a story pertaining to that, and this would not happen to anybody else, so I'm not going to say it right now. I will come back and do a different video on it, because I don't want to scare anybody or deter anybody from using these. If they've been looking into that and they do want to use them, I will come back and talk about that. But there was specific reasons why the incident had occurred when it did at one point during my injury. So I'll talk about that later, but I'm going to show you how I do this. So you put it in your ear, and then you light it. Until it's on fire. Do not take it out of your ear until you're ready to take it, to pull it out when it's done. Do not take it out, because it builds a suction, and that suction helps. That's what's sucking it from the inside out. So once it's in your ear and lit, do not remove it until you're ready to completely remove it and be done with the ear candle. Otherwise, you're wasting the ear candle. So it does take about 5 minutes per candle, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on what the problem is and what is going on around you in the air. So I basically lay out here. You're supposed to be completely on your side, but I've been doing these for so long, you know, I'm a little more comfortable with like not putting something over my head or not laying down. Sometimes I've had to do them in most extreme circumstances, you know, wherever I was at, like especially during the first gas leak. I was on the run for my life. I ended up in, I think it was 11 or 12 hotels total that I had to hop to, because they were lying on the news and lying to the public that this spill was contained. However, because my brain tissue is open, I know that it was not contained, and there was so much of it, it flushed, you know, 50 to 100 miles out. And it was taking over my entire system. At that time, my brain tissue was more open than it was today, and it was actually flowing right through my entire brain and flowing up and down in my veins, in my entire system. It was running through my blood, my entire body, and it felt like dirty rain in my brain and in my blood, and everywhere where your veins flow is what it felt like. So it's not doing that currently. It does load up in my brain. It does not give me the dirty rain feeling currently, but there are knots of it loading up as I'm breathing it in, or trying to travel from point A to point B. So it's a little different this time around. But yes, I've had to do these in very extreme circumstances wherever I could get them done at. You do not want to have wind blowing at them either, or that's not going to work. So you have to, and you don't want to be inside, especially if you have a problem with breathing the particles. It's fire, it's carbon monoxide, there's particles. So, you know, I've done these in the most oddest places, out in public, in different vehicles, different hotels. I couldn't even tell you like the strangest places I've had to do these. So I know I'm sitting up. I'm doing this in a manner in which you've probably never seen anybody do an ear candle, because I'm such an expert at it, at having to do so many of them. It does not bother me to do it this way. It does work this way. It's not gonna harm you if you're comfortable with them, doing them. But I would say probably most of the population isn't too comfortable with doing these or having the flame coming out their ear like that or above their head like that. However, it doesn't bother me any at this point, because I know how it all works. Not worried about it. I'm just more worried about getting the stuff out. because it's very uncomfortable. My inner ears are itching really bad. I woke up that way. I didn't end up doing extra ear candles last night, although I probably should have. I just want to give everybody a general idea of what it looks like, what it should feel like, how to do it. It is a warming, calming sensation with a little bit of crackling, and that's normal. That's what's supposed to happen. Now with me, because the particles get inside my brain, those particles shouldn't be in there. Most people have a blood-brain barrier that is either intact fully or way more intact than mine. Maybe slightly compromised or something. So, if the particles get way in there and it's gas, that can be very dangerous because it's sucking it out. The gas shouldn't be in there. It's not going into most people's brains like that. I would say over 99% of the population, it is not going into anyone else's brain in the manner in which it's going into mine. So, I mean, I guess you wouldn't really have to worry so much. But the flame would get higher. The more gas that's being drawn out, that flame will get higher and higher. During the first gas leak, the flame where it is now, it was about twice that. And it was very dangerous looking, sounding, feeling, the whole 9 yards. And I will get into that one situation I did have the one time, like I said in a different video. But, you know, I'm fairly comfortable doing it like this. If you feel something burning or something hot dripping, you know, pull it out immediately. That would be where you would just cut that ear candle off and just pull it out, stop doing what you're doing, because that means whatever's being drawn out of your ear or out of your brain, it's starting to drip back in. Now, they do make multiple types of ear candles. A lot of those have a filter. In the end, the part that goes into your ear, and I'll show you right here, these are the kind I use. These are handmade. I usually buy them from out of the country. These work the best. They tend to suck the most particles out. This is the end that goes in your ear. These do not have a filter. And I prefer these because it sucks a lot more out. And because I'm pretty knowledgeable with these, I don't mind not having the filter, although I do think most people would probably prefer to have the ones with the filter. But if you do feel that burning sensation or something wet and hot and dripping in your ear, or, you know, something happens abruptly where you're like, ow, you know, something like that, rip it out immediately, stop the ear candle. I mean, usually that's not the case. You know, as long as you're doing it properly, using them properly, usually you have somebody with you when you're doing this. But like I said, I've done so many of these. I basically use my phone. Now I have my old mirrors in my garage. It's broken from so many moves back and forth between Michigan and Ohio that it's kind of trash, but I need it for the ear candles sometimes. It's convenient. So I leave it out here, even though it probably should be thrown away. So I can use it for the ear candles as well. Instead of using my phone, how I've been all this time, most of the time I just use my phone. But usually you would have somebody else with you when you're doing this, and you just kind of wait until it gets down about 1 to 2 inches away, like, you know, from the edge of it. So I guess you would probably pull it right about there. Or if it gets really hot or too close to your hair, yeah, you would pull it then, maybe a little sooner. I have singed my hair quite a few times. I think I caught it on fire once, just because I've had to do so many damn ear candles. It wasn't too significant, and there was somebody sitting next to me, so nothing really happened. I just had like some singed hair that like nobody ever even noticed there was an issue. But most of those ear candles, especially if they're the filters, a lot of them have a line where you would pull them, a line where you'd stop it. These do not. So you just kind of wait until it gets to I'll show you. It's really close, almost. Let's see. It's really close to where you would want to pull it at. I am gonna have to order more of these. I make sure I don't ever not have them. I make sure I order them in bulk and I have them all the time, because you cannot just readily buy them at the local store. And if you can, they're very expensive. And because of my situation and how urgent and serious it is, I have to have them readily available at all times, in large amounts of them. And especially if there's a spill or something and we have to go on the run, there's no way for them to get to me. So I have to make sure I'm fully stocked on them all the time. So right about there, I would pull it. Then you just blow it out. I'll show you right here. So you unroll it because of the manner in which they're rolled up. Just unroll them. Ooh, yeah. It felt like that too. There's quite a bit of blood. Holy crap. That's a lot of blood. I knew I didn't feel good. You know, kind of sleeping all night. Now, I do have Xanax, and it's due to, like I said, it's not anxiety. It's the carbon monoxide particles, when they take over, it creates, I mean, it's not anxiety, but it creates your oxygen to not process properly. So it kind of seems that way, or it would be diagnosed that way. And then I also have brain injuries. So there's numerous reasons why I have Xanax. But when I take it, sometimes I have to take it during these spills, with my brain bleeding and my inner ear itching, it will calm the symptoms down slightly. So I try not to take anything if I don't have to, but I don't really have a choice sometimes. But this is what came out. All those dark spots are blood. Most of that is blood in my situation. And you can see that bottom spot is blood, and I'm gonna press on it and show you. I mean, most of this is blood, but I'll press on it so you can see the blood kind of moving. That's the blood. That dark spot at the tip now, because I'm pressing it and spreading it. And it hardens up fairly quickly. It doesn't usually drip out, but that was all blood. A lot of that was blood. Most of that's blood, and or the other particles from the spill. And it's, you know, I don't normally have like a bunch of earwax, probably because I do ear candles, or I've been doing them for so many years that I don't usually have earwax at all or build up at all unless I'm going through a spill of some sort. So everything that I'm pulling out is particles and blood from my brain. And even that little spot right there on the other side of it, that's blood. You know, it's not normal to live this way. It's really shitty. And when you're doing these, you want to keep doing them. You wouldn't just do one in each ear and that's it. I would say the majority of the time, unless you feel okay after that. But what you would want to do is you want to do them, do one ear, then the other, one ear, then the other. Do them until you get a set or an ear candle that comes out clear with nothing in it. You do them until you get one of those. And when that happens, you know you've cleared everything out. Regardless if it's from an injury and you're dealing with something like how I'm dealing with, or you're just a regular person without an injury and you're having trouble hearing, or you feel like you have earwax buildup, or you feel like, you know, whatever your situation is, doesn't matter, because they're used for multiple purposes. So you would just do them until you get a clear one. When you unroll it and it's clear, then you're good. Or at least for that day, I'd say. You probably won't need them. If you're a regular person, you probably won't need them for months, maybe even a year or more. But if you're dealing with a situation like mine, I guess you could say you're good for like the rest of the day. Maybe even a little longer, because I don't have to do them every day. It goes based on exposure and how much I've taken in. But mind you, I did say I traveled quite a bit of a ways yesterday and then came back, which is why there's so much of it in there, because I've been home the last couple of weeks. I haven't left. So I'm going to do the other side. I just wanted to do a video on these, show you what they look like. I'll do another video and show you like, well, I mean, I guess I could probably post the link down below in the description box of the place I get mine from, because they are kind of expensive in a sense for what they are. They used to be cheaper, but it must be people are catching on to that they're useful and what they're used for, and more people are doing them. So I feel like the price has gone up quite a bit. It's probably doubled in price since the time I started using these about 7 years ago. Maybe it was about 6 years ago. But yeah, that's what they look like. Expect to, do them outside, or, just make sure you don't have wind. You could do them in the back of a vehicle if you have to, just so the wind does not blow the flame. And I will be back with another one. Thanks, bye.